Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. A lot of transfer news to get through today. The latest on Kieran Tierney and Xhaka. Could we have a bidding war for both players, which could be good for Arsenal, which means we could get more money for both of those players. The latest on Declan Rice, his agent, who is his dad, has been in talks with Arsenal, so that could be a major breakthrough. He's been in talks for a long time, but it's just coming out right now. And also a winger, a midfielder from PSV, who actually played against us this season. Could we be about to pay 30 million for him for an Arsenal move? Let's get through all that. And let's start with Kieran Tierney. So obviously we know he's been linked with Newcastle. We know that he's not been at his plans this season really. He's a really good player. If you're to ask me, if you're to ask every Arsenal fan right now, would you want to keep Kieran Tierney? The answer would be yes. I also want to keep him. But you have to think about two situations. Maybe it does feel like Tierney doesn't really fit into the system that you're trying to play, the kind of football you're trying to play with an inverted fullbacks. Maybe does not really fit into that. And number two, does he really want to stay? Does he really want to be back up with to Zinchenko? Does he really want to share minutes with Zinchenko? Or does he want to go somewhere and become a first team player? We've seen recently he's not really in the plans. Like he was back. Zinchenko did not really play well against Liverpool, especially in the final in the second half of that game. And Tierney did not come in at all. He came in like with 5 minutes remaining after we had already considered to make it 2-2 after Firmino had already scored in that game. And recently against Nottingham Forest, Kivior played as a left back, a centre back played as a left back, and also against Wolves, I thought we were going to give Tierney a goodbye, just like we did with someone like a Xhaka, but Tierney did not start that game. He only came on in the second half. So you have to ask yourself, is he really in the plans? They're not really look so. In terms of the latest news on Kieran Tierney, Aston Villa plan to rival Newcastle United for the signing of Kieran Tierney this summer, with the player expected to leave Arsenal. Tierney is set to depart the club after holding talks with manager Mikel Arteta. So again, depends on how you feel. Do you feel like it's him who wants to leave Arsenal, or do you feel like it's Arsenal who don't want him there? So whichever it is, if it was him who wanted to leave, let him leave. But if it's Arsenal are trying to let him go, still trying to keep him in the team because he's a left back who can play on the flanks, and it's good to have like a different option, not only inverted fullback. It's also great to have like a fullback who can bomb forward sometimes and doesn't have to come in depending on the game and depending on the situation. But it doesn't really look so. But Newcastle are the only team who we thought were interested in him, and we were talking about 25 to 30 million or something like that. Of course, we want more for him. If players like Chalobah from Chelsea are able to go for like 25 million, 30 million, we should be getting more for Tierney. When Tierney came to us, so for the first 2-3 years, he was the best left back in the league alongside Andy Robertson from Liverpool. So it's good to have Aston Villa who also joining the race for him, which means Arsenal could bump up the price for him. Now remember, Unai Emery, the Aston Villa manager, is actually the manager who signed Kieran Tierney to Arsenal back in 2019, right? I think alongside David Luiz that year. So he's very interested in him. And I can actually see him fitting into both teams pretty well, especially Newcastle. Kieran Tierney on the right side and Tierney on the left side. They're defensively solid from the past season with Pope, with the likes of Dan Ban, the likes of Shah, Botman. They've all been incredible. So if you had Tierney there, we're actually strengthening Newcastle. And for Aston Villa, obviously they've had Digne. Target has played for both teams, Aston Villa and Newcastle. And Digne has not really worked out for Aston Villa. So someone like a Kieran Tierney would be amazing for them. I can see it working, like him getting in the flanks and crossing the ball for the likes of Watkins. I can see it working. But for us, it's good. At least we can get, hopefully this means you can get more money for him. Hopefully don't sell him on a cheap. But obviously would want him to stay, but I don't think it will happen. And according to Tom Roddy of Time Sport, Kieran Tierney is expected to leave Arsenal this summer. Aston Villa and Newcastle are fighting for his signature. So I mean, if he leaves, I'll wish him all the best. Personally, I want him to stay, but I'm expecting a lot of you to say as well that you want him to stay, but I don't think he's going to start ahead of Zinchenko at all, because Zinchenko, in terms of going forward and everything, is pretty good. And Tierney stats in terms of passing ability and everything, he's nowhere good as Zinchenko. So that is also a factor. Would I want to keep him? Yes, but will he stay? I don't really think so. So how much money do you think we should be getting for Kieran Tierney? I'm hoping for something like 40 million, honestly. Do I think we're going to get that? I don't think so, man. Unfortunately, I think we're going to end up getting something like 25, something stupid like that. But hopefully, since the bidding war started, hopefully Aston Villa and Newcastle, who both have money, well, Watkins was signed for like 50 million. Digne was signed by Aston Villa for good money as well. We know the likes of Trippier signed for good money, and Newcastle definitely have the money. So why can't we ask for a lot of money? If players like Anthony and players like Maguire can go for 80, 90 million, why not get a good fee for Kieran Tierney? But let's see how this one develops. I think this will be done by this month. We'll either know if they're staying or leaving. So that is one to keep an eye on. He's not the only Arsenal player who's been linked with several teams. Granit Xhaka is the other one. We know he's going to leave. We expected him to be joining Leverkusen, but another team has joined the race. Bayern Munich are looking to hijack Bayer Leverkusen's move for Granit Xhaka and have offered him a 3-year deal with the option of another year. Xhaka's preferred destination remains Leverkusen, who have a 5-year contract on the table and a coaching role after. So Bayer Leverkusen already have a huge plan for him. Join them, play, and then later on get a coaching role there. But Bayern Munich have joined the race. Bayern Munich is basically guaranteed to get you a Bundesliga trophy and maybe DFB Pokal Cup, maybe 2 trophies in a season. That is almost guaranteed when you join Bayern Munich. But it depends. What are Bayern Munich's plans after? Like after maybe they give him a 2-year contract and then after they let him go, maybe Xhaka wants guaranteed, like after his playing career, he wants to be doing something else. Maybe the managerial role would be beneficial for him for sure. So that is very interesting as well. But we were being like only going to get something like 17 or 18 million from Leverkusen or something less. So hopefully you can get at least more than 20 million for Granit Xhaka. It should be something like 30 million. After the season is hard, it should be something like 30 million, maybe even more. Because all these other teams, Chelsea asking for like 50 million for Gallagher. Why can't we get enough money for Xhaka? Maybe age could be a factor, but he's not that old. He's not like 30-something or something crazy like that. No, he still has a good 5-6 years to go. Granit Xhaka, you can see him, the list, maybe it's 4 years. So he still has a good one more contract in him for sure. So let's see how much you can get from either teams. I don't really care where he goes, whether it's Leverkusen or Bayern Munich. I wish him all the best, but hopefully you can get as much money as we can for him, and hopefully we can replace him. Talking of replacements, will it be Declan Rice? So obviously, that is what we are hoping for. We've been told that Arsenal are waiting for the Europa Conference League final that West Ham are taking part in against Fiorentina. After that one ends, we will be making a bid of 90 million for him. And the news from today is about his agent, his father. According to West Ham Central, Declan Rice's agent, who is also his father, Sean, has been in extensive talks with Arsenal, who are now very strong favorites to sign the Hammers skipper. So it's good to know that we are in talks with his father, his agent, actually his agent as well. We need to get this done very quickly. I cannot see this one going to July or August. If you let it go to July, it's not going to come to Arsenal. There's so many other teams who want him, like Bayern Munich, Man United, Chelsea, all these teams. So if you really, and Man City could come out from nowhere, Liverpool could come out from nowhere and say they want him. Newcastle as well, they are part of that big 6 now, and they have the money to compete for this kind of players. So the talks are ongoing. Hopefully after the final and 2-3 days after, you can hear some a breakthrough on him, maybe a medical set or terms agreed or something, because we need him at Arsenal very, very soon, because Xhaka is leaving. Partey could end up leaving. You never know. El Neni could leave as well. He could lose up to 3 midfielders. So he definitely need to get the replacements in now. And Declan Rice is Arsenal's top target or priority to get in. And hopefully we can get it done soon. I really like him as a player, especially in the interceptions in midfield and the way he can carry the ball. I absolutely love him. Hopefully he's not also the only midfielder we're getting. Hopefully we can get another midfielder on top of that. But that's the latest on Declan Rice. But he's not actually the player who's news broke recently. It's actually another player from PSV, a player we actually played against recently. His name is Xavi Simons, a player who can play. He used to be a PSG player, and PSG actually have a buyback clause. So if PSG want him back, they can get him for like 15 million euros if they want him back from PSV. So there's that. If PSG want him, there's no way we can get him, because they're going to get him on a cheap deal, and he used to be their player. So there's that in the contract that PSV signed. But he played against us when we played PSV in the second or third game. I think we played Zurich Munich, then Bodo Glimt. Like in the fourth and fifth game that we played against in the Europa League group stage against PSV, he played against us. And I remember in the first game at their place, or first or second game, whichever, when we played at their place when they beat us 2-0, him and Cody Gakpo joined Liverpool in January. They absolutely dominated us. They tore us apart. If I'm not wrong, I actually think Xavi Simons scored in that game. It was disallowed. He ripped us apart. He was playing as a left wing and he was also playing as a forward in that game. They were rotating very well with Cody Gakpo and they did us a lot of damage. He also went to the World Cup and I remember him playing very well against USA in the round of 16. So a very capable player. He's only 20 years old. So what's the latest on Xavi Simons? Arsenal are interested in signing Xavi Simons from PSV this summer as they bid to reinforce Mikel Arteta's squad. He's a winger, so he's mostly going to play as a winger. You can also play like in the Smith Rowe role as a number 8 or something, but we are going to probably sign him as a backup winger for someone like a Xhaka on that right side. That is where we are going to use him most if we get him. And they're being quoted for around 30 million. Arsenal are now most concrete option for Xavi Simons. The London club have noticed the player. His agent is the son of David Dein. Obviously, David Dein, the man who brought Arsene Wenger to Arsenal. Nice to see that you're still doing business with him. His son is the agent to Xavi Simons. So could that one help him get to Arsenal? Can Arsene Wenger do his magic for Arsenal once again and talk to David Dein about Xavi Simons potentially joining Arsenal? That would be great. If PSG are not interested, this would be a great signing. Either this one or someone like a Gnonto for Leeds. We already did a video on him. Someone who's just going to be a backup and young as well. Gnonto is 19. This guy is 20. If you can get one of them there as a backup for Xhaka, why not? He's a guy who's played in the European competition. He's played at a World Cup as well. So he's not new to this, even though he is 20. What about his stats from last season? So this is last season. Xavi Simons, he played 48 games. He got 22 goals and 12 assists. Obviously, it's in the Dutch league. People will say it's an easier league, blah, blah, blah. But 34 goal returns in 48 games is absolutely brilliant. A generational talent, capable of playing in midfield or on the wing, according to Football Orange. So that is amazing. His stats are great. I would definitely want him at Arsenal. This season, I've watched him like 8-9 times, mostly for PSV in the Europa League when they were playing against Bodo Glimt and against Arsenal as well. And he played really, really well against us. So this is a player definitely entertained the thought of him joining Arsenal as a backup winger alongside a couple of midfielders and maybe a fullback and maybe a striker. Why not? We need to sort out our games this season, our players this season, our formation, everything. Like in terms of our depth, that's the word I'm looking for, our depth. Like Xhaka played 38 games last season. We don't want him to play 38 games. And on top of that, next season we have Champions League. So let's say you get to the quarterfinal or something, that's an extra like 10 games. That means Xhaka will play like 50 games in a season. That will be too much. So you need backups like Xavi Simons and players like that who can join and make a difference. So that's the latest on Declan Rice, on Xavi Simons, on Kieran Tierney, and also Granit Xhaka. It's going to be a very busy window. We're probably going to hear more about Thomas Partey, the contract situations with Odegaard and Saliba, Caicedo, Fresneda, Cancelo, all these players. We're going to hear all about them throughout this month, and hopefully we can sort out the positions that we need to be sorted out. But very interesting. Let me know what you think about that. Thank you for watching, and I'll definitely catch up with you guys on the next one.